Welcome to the show. Talk Radio.
Oh, yeah. Two by two, I be the count. Yeah. Holy Spirit just move. Two by two. Yeah. That's the move. Holy Spirit just move. That's it, bro. Hey. Holy Spirit just move. Holy Spirit just move. Hey. My radio. Hey. My radio. Yeah. Let's go. Hello, everyone. This is Madelyn Bass, and I'm your host of Sober with Madelyn, where we're keeping it real daily, creating greater lifestyles by changing our status and raising our standards. So I just want to say welcome back to Mother Son Real Talk. We're going to talk a little bit about term life insurance, whole life insurance, making investments in yourself. And this is a form of multiple stream of income. So as you can see, I have my son with me, Quincy Howard Sr. Hello, Quincy. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what's your intake like as a young person? How do you feel about that?
Being 29 now, I definitely see the positives about investing in yourself from a term aspect. I can't talk about the whole aspect, but a lot of people have a lot of, basically they don't want to invest $30 a month in themselves.
I can't see your face, so I'm glad you moved.
Okay, here we go. Long story short, it's just I see the value in it simply from a standpoint of, and this is how I had to do it. I look at everything as an investment. And so what I had to tell myself is, okay, I had to write everything down mathematically. And what I did was I did $35 times 12, which is a year. And then I times that by 30 to 40 years. You're going to get around the ballpark, depending on what you do, between a 30 and 40, around between $16,000 and $19,000. Some people will say, "Oh, that's a waste of money. I just wasted $16,000 to $19,000 over the course of that time." But in my mind, if I do term life insurance and something happens to me, right, within that 40-year, 30-year span, my family is taken care of. So that's just one way that I say, look, I invest this money to where I can take care of my family if something happens to me. Term life insurance is what I'm speaking on. And so that's the pro to it. Yes, one of the cons that a lot of people try to say about it is that you do, quote unquote, lose out on that money after the 40 to 30 years. But my take on it is, and there are some terms actually where you will get that money back. It's a little more expensive, but to stay on course, I see the benefit in it as a young man, simply because I have a wife, number one, my heart, then I have my son, and then I have my daughter. And I've seen so many situations to where when someone passes away, unfortunately, the person who passed away did not leave a stream of income or anything to take care of them when they're gone. And then you got bill collectors calling, and then you got all of these stresses of how we're going to pay for the funeral, the homegoing service. You got to pay for all these things, so and then there's a grieving process in the midst of that a lot of people don't talk about. Like, there's not many people who go straight back to work after they've lost a loved one. And so what do you do in the midst of that period as well? So for the most part, I am for a term. Do you have an opinion on whole life? Do you know anything about whole life?
I do actually have whole life, and
okay.
I prefer it. Now, I know both of them are really good. It just depends on your ages.
Right.
I think that whole life is better for younger people because you have an opportunity for that interest, and it gains more value, and you have a longer time span. Now, I know death has no preference, but if you start earlier enough, especially if you have infants, that whole life is accruing money that you will be able to take out and use for them and for school or whatever. You could give it to them, get it out and borrow against yourself, like a 401, except you're not penalized because that's actually your money.
Your money, yeah.
And then you can also, in chances or opportunity of hardship,
right,
you're able to get some of that money for dealing in times like now. So if you had whole life, then and you didn't have a 401, then and also you didn't have to have a job to have whole life insurance. Back when, you know, not too long ago, you couldn't get life insurance
True.
at a reasonable price,
Right.
you know, except through your job. And
Right.
401 is not an option, period, if you
Right.
don't have a job. So a lot of
Right.
individuals, they're having a hard time figuring out how to make some of those investments because they don't have jobs. Maybe they're independent business owners. But the life insurance, to me, is still a really great investment for
Agreed.
those if you have kids.
Agreed. And I'm glad that you added so much value and so much education to what the differences are. Now some might add, okay, one of the cons, and you can break this down to a lot of the reasons some people don't do whole life is, number one, it is more expensive, right? And then there's a less payout for the life. So just for example, if you do a term for 40, I know most are 6 figures if something happens. What would you say to someone about that? If someone was like, well, the reason I don't want to do term and the reason I don't want to do wholes because it's a lot less. What would you say to that, Mom?
Actually, you just weigh it. You need to see if it's going to be better for your family,
right,
or even for you,
right?
Because you know what debt you have, and you know what shape you'll leave your family in if you pass. You know, and if you have a wife that doesn't work and she's just been a home provider and caring for the family, she's either not going to be able to find a job because she has kids or because she doesn't have work experience of any kind, even if she has a degree.
Right.
Because she doesn't have work experience, then she's going to have a hard time recovering from passing. And get both if you can afford it. Like if you're working a job,
most
jobs have a life insurance that you can get. And now with the new different laws that were put in place, then you can take that with you.
That's true.
Call that life insurance company and say, I want to keep this up, even your health care.
That's true.
So with some of those things that are in place, like I said, it's beneficial, like even for now. So if you were, I don't want to say smart enough, but intuitive enough.
I like that. I like that.
To make some types of arrangements like that before all of the corona situation took place, then you're in a good place. You're gonna be okay.
Very good place.
You're gonna be okay.
Very good place.
And there are some things that you can do, even with WebMed. You can get those packages, and they're a little enough for healthcare. So just to let people know, those things are options. Telemed.
Definitely.
You can just be at home, call, and the physician is there, nurses is there, the answer nurses is, Lord have mercy. Nurses are there
definitely
to assist you, and you don't have to leave the house. So that's a service that you might want to consider.
Facts. And I'm going to piggyback off you because that was just so well said. I think also too, you know, it's important to say all of this is just you're caring and serving for other people. If you really truly love your family, you have to consider your family, not just mentally, not just spiritually, but financially as well. And one of the things that people don't talk about is now someone has to grieve your loss. Now they have to also fight and combat the situation you left them in.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't know if we like I said, we can only speak from our experiences. Like, you know, I can't speak for anybody else, but and a lot of this isn't probably said because in transparency you think it's selfish to speak ill, but it's not speaking ill when you're speaking facts. The fact is, I would not want to leave my wife, my son, and my daughter in a predicament financially that they cannot take care of themselves mentally and spiritually, because that's already going to be hard enough. That's already going to be hard enough. And I'm not just talking from a marital standpoint, but if I was single, I would still not want you or my sister or my loved ones to be in such a disdain for me because of, and I know you guys wouldn't do it, but there would be something that the enemy would use, to say like, man, see, he left y'all in this mess, and I think it's very important that we stop thinking in a way that is like, well, that $35 could have went elsewhere. Please, we waste $35 on a regular basis.
Exactly.
$40 on a regular basis. And I know for me as a person and how my personality is, that I have to look at everything from an investment standpoint.
Exactly.
And the way I do it is just like with video games. Your son is a gamer. I have been for a while. Unfortunately, even though that's my hobby, I don't let it overtake me. I used to, thank the Lord. When you buy those games, they're like $40, $50 a piece. And you're only playing for maybe 6 months, 7 months, if it's a good game. And unfortunately, when you buy that game, the minute you buy it, just like a car, it diminishes in value. My wife could sell those games if I died right now and get maybe $12 for them.
Right.
Not what I paid. And so I look at it like that, and some people are like, well, dang, why do you keep buying games? Because everything's an investment.
Exactly.
Everything's an investment. And I invest in my sanity for my hobby. And all of this is important. But I just wanted to capitalize on that and just say, like, Mama, I think that's really important. And so let's tackle that, if you don't mind. What would you say to the person that's listening to this and they're like, well, I don't have $35 just to give out. Bills are already hard enough. I'm having to take care of the now. God tells us not to worry about tomorrow, which is true. What would you say to a person like that, Mom, that is thinking, man, I see what you're saying, but to me, I'd rather put that $35 in a savings account rather than, giving it to somebody and I never get it back. And that's what term and withhold.
Yeah. Well, with a savings account, it's still something that you can do as an option. Now, it's not going to give you as large of a return unless you find some accounts that are 6%, and they're
right.
out, but you've got to find them. And if you can find them with that rate of return, then you're in a good place. Even if, like, I don't want to be throwing out different businesses, but like Capital One, for instance.
I love Capital One.
A savings account that's attached to your check.
Yep.
Yeah, also, I love the fact that they don't charge you to have a checking. Like, that's a plus in itself. If you have an account that's charging you, now this is just the extra for you. You might need to rethink some things.
Reevaluate.
Charge your money, because that $9, $10, $16 a month they taking out for so-called fees, multiply that times 12. That's money that you could have been putting into a savings account. Even money put in and investing in yourself. Open up a Roth account. That's a Roth account, mutual fund for your kids.
Yes.
The Roth is probably going to be good or even better, but a 529 for kids, that's an investment that you can put. And I just learned about this. It's for their college. So say, for instance, they have student loans. And this is even if you still have them. Like, say you're in your early 20s and you've gotten student loans, then invest in a 529.
Correct.
Let that money build up. Go on and go to school. Don't get any more loans. Finish college. And whatever monies, by the time you're 30, take that money, because at 30, you can't have it.
Right.
Take that money and throw it on your account.
Yep.
That way you can get rid of it. But you have anywhere between 8 to 10 years for that money to just build. And just throw $100 in there. You're young. Throw $100 in that account every month. If you can get extra, throw it in there. And that's money still in that investment for you, because notes, you're not going to be taking out any more loans. But that's just a plug for you. But savings accounts, definitely an option. But just make sure that the return is worth it. If you're only going to be putting $25, $10 in at a time, 1%, 2% of that a month is just not going to, you're going to get
I agree. I 100% agree. I agree. And I think I think there's an aspect, and I think we're running. I love talking about this. We have to do a part 2. But one of the maybe even a 3 and 4.
Money. You know me in finances.
Oh man, and the reason I think we have so much fun with it, and let me just be transparent for a minute. Y'all know that's my favorite word. But there was a time where me and my mom couldn't talk about this because that's all my mom would talk about. She's so good at it she cared so much for me that she didn't care. She, how you doing, son? I'm good. Everything. I'm blessed. Church is going great. Work is going great. She's like, oh yeah, how's your savings accounts? How's your life insurance yet? You got your 401 okay? I'm like, Mama, I did not call you for this. I said, how you doing? But what I'm saying is there's going to be a tension with this. Like watching this, it's going to be hard for you to watch it. Number one, if you're not doing it. Mm-hmm. And number two, if you bought into everybody just trying to get my money.
Yeah.
It is going to be very hard for you to watch this video.
It is.
And I would even argue it's going to be hard for you to watch the next 2 shows we're going to do. Because So Real with Madelyn is a show that we do, and we're focused on creating better lifestyles. And so even if you're not at the point where you can listen to it right now, you're going to go back and watch this video, just like sermons that I've heard from Pastor Duncan so many times. Oh my God. And so I can remember a time in my walk where I don't want to hear this man talk. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, I love listening to the wisdom of Pastor Roy G. Duncan.
Yeah, and of older people, you guys.
Yes.
You do have something to share.
Yes, and so just invest in and then also too, one of the, Mom, if you can notate this, one of the things we talk about are the pros and cons with credit cards.
Yeah.
A lot of people this is no shade. I'm not even gonna call out books, but me and my wife read a lot of books, and some of these books are telling you not to even utilize credit cards.
Yeah, right.
There's pros to that. And depending on the type of personality you are, that's good advice.
Exactly.
But if you are a balanced person who's kind of already been good with stewardship, there's a way you could use a credit card to your benefit, and you get more money on top of it.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to bash either way. We're going to talk about both, just like we talked about term and whole. But there was a time in my walk where I couldn't have done the credit card the way that some people live. Some people, and I'll share briefly, some people use credit cards for everyday paying bills.
Exactly.
What they do is they pay the bills with their credit cards, collect the points, and then pay the credit card off before the interest hits. Exactly. It's called a postpaid. It's a postpaid way of living. A lot of old school people, I call it a prepaid way of living. You pay, you get your money, and then you pay your bills. Postpaid is you gather the bills and then you pay it. You gather the debt, then you pay it. Both require discipline. What people are failing to realize is both of them require discipline. It just depends on the type of person you are. I know some people who look at that and be like, I want to get out of there. I'm not running up my credit card and just pay it off. That's dumb. Okay, cool. But then there's some people who are like, why wouldn't you gather the points, get them, if you already have the money, pay it before the interest hit? Now you literally have more money. So, I mean, I can see it from both standpoints. We're going to talk about both, but Mom, are we good? Are we having more time? Or
it looks like we're still good. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. This is our first time, y'all. We're using the Zoom, and we're trying to record it, and hopefully and preferably it's good quality for you guys.
Yes.
And that you can hear and everything. We did a little test run to make sure it was okay, but we want to make sure you continue to get this information. Now, Quincy, you did mention about credit cards, and then we're gonna try to wrap it up. But you mentioned credit cards. It is great. 1 to 2, I feel like are really, really great. And the reason I say that, the one with the largest balance, you want to have something coming off every month that, say for instance, you have a $2,000 balance.
Right.
You put up, but have a small bill of something that comes off of it.
Agreed.
Then pay it at the end of the month before your balance is due and the interest hit. Just pay it off. But it's a good way to keep that, and you're being consistent. You're staying under the third of the limit that you have, and they're seeing that you're a good steward of your money. The other card I would use for like gas If,
Yep.
you know, and those are ladies, if you got to shop for something that you
Right.
feel like you want or need, put a limit on yourself and just go and buy, but know at the end of that month, you can pay your card off.
That
Okay.
is correct.
Like you
Good
said,
advice.
it costs discipline. So husbands, if you just want to give your wife a card that, you know, is just for her, because she might want to buy something for you or the kids or something, you know, little emergencies come up, little time to got cupcakes for school or whatnot, but it's little things like that. And she
Right.
needs her own money if she's not working. Now,
If she's working,
it's
then
her card and she need to, you know, she need to handle it, but you know, or vice versa. There are some women who have at-home dads. And the wife chose, you know, they're allowing her career to excel. You know, so, but
yeah,
anyway.
I like how you brought that up. Not my style, but I like how you brought that up.
No, yeah, not mine either.
That's my style. My wife ain't having that.
I want to be at the house. I like being at home. I mean, even I love being married. You know,
Right.
it's just I love taking care of my family.
Right. Yeah, you do.
But you guys, y'all know the Proverbs 31 woman. She was knowledgeable of finance. She handled the finances actually.
And contrary to people's belief, she actually worked.
She did.
And we gotta get out of that mentality that the Proverbs 31 woman did not work, because there's so many things that if you read, we don't read the Bible culturally and historically, and that's a problem. Like you read it on the surface and you'll just say, "Oh, she was at home." Well, the Bible says that she was always in the vineyards and she was always working. She was always out investing as well. So my question is, who was watching the kids?
Exactly.
The servant. You know what I mean? And so she took care of the servant. So if you're not, so that's why I always tell women, like, unless you're in a situation where you are blessed with where your family took care of your family's family and you have 7 figures and you're at home all the time, 24/7, 24/7, and you're blessed for that. That's not the norm. We don't have servants. I don't have a servant. You know, so
I don't know that I would want any, you know. In these days and times, you just can't be careful, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, if you can be at home and you're in the presence with your kids, they need to see a parent. You know, if the dad is working all the time, maybe he's a truck driver or a physician or something. Like now, you got people in the medical field, they ain't been home in days. It's almost like in the military.
Right.
So just be mindful. I know I'm trying not to move y'all because on Zoom you gotta be very still or it'll So I'm trying to be careful. But I'm very animated when I talk, so this is not easy. But anyway, I know both of us, he get it from his mama.
Definitely.
But you guys, this is our part 1 of finances. We talked about life insurances and savings accounts. And just being able to leave a legacy for your children's children. You know, if you don't have kids, still think about the loved ones that you are leaving behind. And it has to be thought about. Death comes at any time. It has preference. And you just need to be ready. You need to be ready in all areas. Salvation, financially. You might not be here, but you're leaving your family. You're leaving loved ones behind. So it's very, very important that you provide. And I believe that's why God says to leave an inheritance, because
it's tough.
Anything can happen. You know, your wife, your kids, they got school. Some people might not believe in it, but it's there. Okay, we're almost running out of time. It's they moved us to the 40-minute limit for the group, but I want to keep it mindful of everybody's time. I don't know. I think we're like 30-minute mark, but
we're good.
Okay, so but anyway, closing encouragement words, Quincy.
Yes, thank you. One of the things I want to encourage you with is the importance of sowing seed for your legacy, as well as mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because if you go back and read at the end of Genesis going into Exodus, the reason that the people were left in captivity is because the current Pharaoh, when Joseph passed away, that Pharaoh had no idea who his people were.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm saying God already knew all this was going to happen. God was sovereign, but just the power. And don't ever think that you're not writing down, you're not sharing your words, you're not taking pictures, you're not inspiring your children to be better, and also to spend that quality time doesn't matter.
Right.
Because those words, the time you invest, the finances you invest, people are not going to forget that. And if you're making an impression, that can help someone else. You don't believe me? Ask Malcolm X. You don't believe me? Ask Martin Luther King. You don't believe me? Ask Harriet Tubman. You don't believe me? Ask all of these leaders. All of these people left a legacy.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote it down.
That's
somebody documented it. Now they want to distort it all the time. But somebody, the important part is that it was written down. It's open for interpretation, but the important part is somebody took note.
That's true. All right,
So,
you guys, always be willing to help somebody. And like,
please.
you can reach out to Quincy or I. We're gonna ask you that you would put some comments in below in Facebook.
Like, subscribe.
Like,
please.
subscribe, and share.
Share.
You know, you guys, we really want to be an influence and an encouragement to some people. We're trying to be trailblazers to let you know it ain't all about the money. We need it, but you guys, the word is more important of sharing and helping individuals create that better lifestyle. And that's what we're about here at So Real. We're creating greater lifestyles by changing your status and raising that standard. And the standard is in Christ. And if you try to live a life according to his will and purpose for you, I promise you, you'll live in gratitude. Okay?
Amen.
All right, you guys, have a awesome evening. This is Madelyn Bass, and I am with
Quincy Howard Sr.
There we go. Have a great evening, you guys.
Love you all.
I love you.